Hey everybody, welcome back to Road and Reel. I'm JP, and this is your April fishing report for the Kern River area. Now, before we get started, I just want to tell you that a lot of these fishing reports that I do, they come from viewers, they come from commentators. I try to hit the water as much as I can, but obviously I can't be everywhere at all at once. So if you're looking for anything that's just right at the moment, how's everything fishing, reach out to me at Road and Reel on Instagram, and I usually respond within that same day. Also, that being said, if you're out fishing an area and you want to share some pictures, you want to share an update, and let me know what's working, feel free to share that with me as well, and I'll add that to my next video. So let's just go ahead and let's get started. We did have our fishing derby up at Lake Isabella. From what I understand, it was a great turnout. There were a lot of fish being caught. There's still tagged fish being caught, but derby's over. So I would like to tell you that the fishing is getting really good and that spring bite is here, but it's just not quite here yet. A lot of the fishing that we're getting is kind of sporadic. You'll go out one day, catch a ton of fish. The next day, no bite at all. Everything just shuts down. A lot of it has to do with the weather. We had in the last couple weeks, we've had crazy rain, crazy wind. We've had snow up on the river. We've had all these different conditions that we're all trying to deal with, and the fish are dealing with those as well. And it makes it kind of difficult to gauge where everything is at. So technically the Lower Kern River is a tailwater fishery that tends to keep our water temperatures the same with these big fluctuations in weather. With that being said, if I was going to target any specific fish right now on the Lower Kern River, I would probably go after catfish or smallmouth. The reason that I would do that is because if I was fishing for catfish, I might just throw some live shiners on there, and you might catch a catfish, probably going to catch a smallmouth. You're probably going to get into some crappie or something. So it just kind of opens up things. You're not exactly stuck, soaking bait for carp or something, right, that only carp are going to eat. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're going for something right now, count on targeting some catfish, and maybe you'll pick up something else along the way. I would like to tell you that trout, is starting to hit on the lower, but it's not. We haven't had any stockings in the last month. You might get something as they come through and they drop some off. I know Buena Vista Lake just had its very last stocking probably for the season. Lake Mean, Riverwalk Park, and some of the places here in Bakersfield are getting stocked, privately or through other means, and sometimes those fish, they do make their way up to the river. They have a little bit extra, they might toss those in. So I wouldn't really count on that. There are some very large trout that are still in the river that made their way out with these big, flood waters and things that we've had. They're in there. If you want to target those, I recommend up in the Keysville area if you're going to do that. Power bait, worms. I haven't targeted them myself. I know some guys that have done very well on nymphs, on a fly rod, but you're going to have to work for it. And when I say work for it, I'm talking like a 5-10 mile a day. Just kind of work your way up the river. You have to figure out where they're at. Lake Isabella, on the other hand, is fishing very well. Catfish are coming out. We've got a lot of activity between Boulder Gulch, French Gulch, and the dam area. You can see here between French Gulch and the dam. These guys down here at the bottom, they're actually pulling a catfish out of the water while I was here recording this video. And the fishing is doing really well. Again, triple S baits or any of those stink baits that you want to throw out there, live shiners are doing really well. And when I say live shiners, you can either put those under a bobber or right now you can just kind of, just toss them out there whole, no weight, just let them swim around and something's going to pick them up. If you want to just get on some worms, just throw some night crawlers out there. Those night crawlers are doing really well. And there's a lot of fish activity right there in that area. Now, crappie bite is also coming on. It's starting to get a little more active. The afternoons are the best bite on Lake Isabella. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's easier to target. Typically, the wind starts blowing in the afternoon. What I do is I focus on these little gulch areas where the wind current just hasn't quite, it's not quite as strong there, I guess. And the fish, they tend to stack up on the backside of where that wind is blowing. And so you can get in there, you can walk in there on foot, you can get on there on a boat. It's a lot more comfortable to sit there anyway, and it's game on. Bass bite, not quite there yet. There are bass coming out of the lake, but very few. Carp are starting to move in. They should start spawning in the next month, and so they're starting to move into the shallows. I look for that to really pick up once the water starts running off and it starts rising, and then also when that water temperature, starts to get a little bit warmer. So get out there, try it out. If that's not working for you in the morning, like I said, once that wind starts to pick up, go in there, find some shelter. You're probably gonna need some crappie, and if all else fails, go throw some dip baits and things, and try to get into the catfish. Before I move on to the Upper Kern River, I do want to talk about the different parts of the lake for a little bit. So whenever I'm talking about like Boulder Gulch, French Gulch, the dam area, even all the way towards Kernville, you get back behind the cemetery, right in there behind Wolford Heights. There's a lot of good areas in there that fish very well. It's not that the other side of the lake doesn't fish well, it's just that after they did all their dam repairs and messing with the auxiliary dam and building everything up, and there was a lot of activity in there, and a lot of the ground and a lot of the old terrain that was there got torn up, and now the water has risen up and over it. And a lot of those areas that they used to be my go-to if I wanted to go out there in an afternoon and just catch a bunch of bluegill with my kids, I could. And I found that those areas aren't there anymore. So if you've got any insight in that area, I would appreciate it. If you want to share it, stick it down in the comments. You can fish from there, go all the way down to South Lake. That's usually where I go for carp. I'll be out there next month trying to fish the carp spawn on a fly rod. So there's a lot of good fishing over in that area. Also, float tubing in South Lake is really good if you're going after crappie. You can get out there, find those tree structures and all that other stuff. And live shiners under a bobber, they're killer for crappie in about, I would say, 2-3 weeks. Once that water warms up, it's going to get really good. Okay, so the Upper Kern River. The Upper Kern River, right, has been my nemesis this last month. I've gone out, I've caught a bunch of fish, I take some friends out, I go out, and I don't catch too many fish, and it's just kind of hit or miss. We've had like some 80-degree days on the water, we've had some 30-degree days on the water, and it's just really hard to judge what's happening. The hatches, I'm a big fly fisherman, not that I don't bait fish or take my spinning rod out, it's just that fly fishing is one of my passions, and so when I go out there, a lot of times I'm trying to fish around a hatch, I'm trying to do all these different things, and it gets pretty tough when it's inconsistent. Now, bait-wise, the only inconsistencies that you have, and this is one that's kind of frustrated me the last couple weeks, is I used to be able to go out there and throw a mice tail, throw a mini jig or something, and those have just kind of shut down recently, and I don't really know why, but I don't recommend that, at least until the weather's over. That's all I can think of, is that the weather has really caused some issues, and that type of fish bite is just not there. Also, we're not really dealing with a bunch of plants anymore. They haven't planted up there in the last 3 weeks. I don't see them planting in the next 2 weeks. They'll probably plant the week before opening weekend, so the last Saturday in April, they'll probably plant that week. So you might get up there and catch some planters if that's what you're going for. If you're fishing for native fish, pinched crawlers, any of those types of terrestrials and things that could get washed down with these storms that we've been having, they've been doing really well. This is going to sound weird, and this has actually sparked an idea that I have for a future video of mine. But you can get out there, and if you want to take like a fly fishing indicator, right, it's just a fly fishing bobber, and if you want to take that with no weight and get you like a size 10 bait holder hook with some eggs, right, and about 2 feet up on that indicator, toss it out there with a spinning rod, and it's been money. So you get out there in that current, you just kind of let it drift, and you fish it like you do an indicator on a fly rod, and when it goes down, set the hook, because the fish, they're biting and they're letting go. I've noticed, I went out there with some power eggs, and I was trying to fish some power eggs, tons of bites, but by the time that I felt them biting, they were gone. So that's kind of I don't know if that's like a cardinal sin, right? We combine fly fishing with spin fishing and all this different stuff. I like to fish, I don't really care how I do it. But if you have any of those weird ways, right? Do you like to throw a rooster tail on a tenkara? Are we throwing Rapala lures on a fly rod, right? If you have any of those ways, stick it in the comments, and maybe I'll make a video doing some of those types of things, because I don't know, I'm kind of interested in seeing if any of that stuff works. Maybe it works better. So many times we get stuck in our one way of fishing, and we forget that, you know, there's nothing like catching a you know, giant catfish or something on some bubble gum or a hot dog, because that's what you have. But as you get older, you don't really do that anymore, because there's one way of doing things, and that's the only way. So anyway, that's my tangent. If you've got those ideas, stick it on the comment. All right, that's over. So back to the Upper Kern River. So when we're looking at the Upper Kern River, again, it's fishing kind of difficult, but it's also fishing natural. And when I say natural, like I said, those terrestrials. If you can go to the bait store, if you can go to the pet shop, get you a bunch of crickets. Crickets are fishing really well. Those terrestrials are going to start moving around. We're going to start getting grasshoppers out there. We're going to start getting those crickets. We're going to start getting baby frogs. We're going to start getting all kinds of stuff that's going to be coming in along that river, and those fish are going to start picking those up. I've caught trout on a lizard lure, right? So any of that stuff, just get out there right now. I would say throw it, and you never know what you're going to get in the next week or so. Now, this next storm that is coming in, I think is going to do a lot, and we're going to have a very narrow window on the Upper Kern River. And when I say narrow window, is because if we get good weather for fishing, we're going to be very close to that spring runoff. And there's usually a magic number in there, and it goes up to about 1,500 to 2,000 CFS as far as runoff goes. Up until that part, like, you can still get back in there, and as the river starts to swell, I fish all those little trees and undercuts and all the campgrounds, and I've landed some big fish in those areas. So once you start doing that, you know, get in there. If you're bait fishing, drift your bait, if you're brave, toss your rooster tails, toss all your different spinners and your spoons and all that stuff. If you've got some tube jigs or mini jigs, you can toss those down in there. Pinch crawlers, if you want to float some bait through there. Just whatever it is. I won't know. That'll come out at the beginning of May whenever I do that next video, but that's usually how I fish that. With that being said, we're also getting into the season to where all the little creeks and tributaries, whenever the Kern River is not fishable, we can get up there and we can start fishing some of those smaller creeks, right? You get up there, Peppermint, Brush Creek. There's a few other creeks that are running into there, and you can really get some nice, decent fish that come out of there. So I think I covered pretty much everything that you can do right now with you know, your conventional spinning gear. If I missed anything, just put it in the comments and I'll try to answer that. Hit me up on Instagram and I'll get back to you there. When we're talking about fly fishing on the Upper Kern River, things change a little bit. I really like that predictability of a hatch happening between 11:30 and 1:30, but different parts of the river are different temperatures. There's some parts that still don't see sunshine for more than like 2 or 3 hours during the day. And so a lot of those hatches that would happen, they're just not happening yet. So the angle of the sun has got to get right. The temperature of the water has got to get right. But we're starting to see some mayflies. We're starting to see you know, some spinners and some yellow sallies. We've got those you know, your salmon flies, and you know, just your different normal winged insects that are, you know, floating around the water, and they're coming up. And fish are starting to feed more regularly on the surface. But it does shut down, and you know, we're going from like 90-degree days to 60-degree days, and it's just too big of a swing. And so when it shuts down, right, go back, go tie you some flies. You can get out there if you want to get out there with some nymphs, and I'm not like your normal guy. I throw mop flies and all the cardinal sins of fly fishing, right? So if you're wanting to catch some fish, right, get out there, throw you some mops, and you know, go from there. The Kern Candy, right, it's just kind of an egg pattern. Egg patterns in general are doing really well right now. Very soon we're going to get to that point, and I'm going to be like a strictly like Perdigon, Frenchy guy, and just up there just nymphing, dry dropper, once we start getting some things on top of the water and stuff. And so that's what I'll be going. I was really hoping to have a lot more detail this fishing report, but like I said, things have been a little different. We've had some crazy weather, and so my next fishing report should have a lot more detail, and I should be able to tell you those patterns exactly. I will, however, have that information between now and then. So hit me up on Instagram, and I'll point you in the right direction. So that's about it. I really hope that you guys liked it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. If you would like to help support these fishing reports, I don't really believe in putting fishing reports or gatekeeping or putting anything behind like a paywall. But if you want to send a super thanks, I appreciate it. And you know, that's how these videos get made. So again, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe and make sure that you stay tuned for those new videos coming out and check out some of my older stuff. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.